I'm Courtney. I'm one of the penguin keepers here in Water's Edge, Africa at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, and we are here today with part of our penguin waddle. We've got 16 African penguins that live here at the zoo, and they are all different individuals as far as their personalities go, and the way we tell them apart. They've got different markings as well. But one of the cool ways that as a guest you can tell them apart, or if you're watching this video, if you want to try to kind of look at the penguins as well and try to see which one is which, they all have name tags on. So you can tell what their name is by looking at their little armband that they've got on their wing. Girls will have a little band on their left wing, boys will have them on the right wing, and they're also color coordinated, so they tell us the name of the penguin. They're also wearing the color of one other penguin out here. So most of the penguins have a mate that they've chosen, and they'll spend a lot of time with that penguin. They'll share a nest with that penguin, and they just kind of like to hang out together and spend a lot of time navigating throughout the exhibit. One of my favorite things is to watch the penguins as they're choosing where they want to be throughout the day. So they've got a lot of different options. Some of them really love to hang out down at the bottom of our exhibit at the beach side where there's a lot of sand and boulders, and they'll dig little nests in there and hang out and grab some nesting material from around the exhibit. And others like to be inside a little bit more. They've got some cool rock exhibit work that they like to jump up in. They're actually really mobile and agile. They can use their little claws to jump up on the rocks and find their own little places to hang out. And some of them really like to hang out in little sunspots that they find. African penguins are found off of the coast of southern Africa. That's their native habitat, so they're used to living in a much warmer climate than many of the penguins that we're used to thinking about. Oftentimes when we imagine penguins, we kind of picture them hanging out in a really snowy environment, but African penguins, they are hanging out in the cold water, so they've got to be able to regulate their temperature that way. But otherwise, when they're on land, it's pretty warm out there. So they have a couple of different ways to regulate their temperatures as well. If you look at our penguins, they have a little spot right above their eyes that doesn't have any feathers on it. And that little patch up there, that contains a couple of things. So that's got their salt gland, and that helps them live in a saltwater environment and get rid of any extra saline that might be in their bodies. But it also helps because there are a lot of little blood vessels that travel right there, and since there aren't any feathers, the blood can pass really close to the surface, cool down the penguin, and then travel throughout the rest of their body to help maintain that body temperature that they want to have. So if you come to the zoo and it's a pretty warm day, you might see that that little patch above their eyes is really bright pink, and that means their body is doing its job and they're keeping their temperature nice and just perfect for what they need. Another way that they'll kind of keep that body temperature really regulated is they use their feet. So if you think of a penguin out on the ice, they're going to have to try to keep their feet nice and warm. So they've got a big layer of blubber and feathers, and they're going to use their behavior to kind of keep those feet covered as much as possible to prevent any heat loss. But African penguins, their feet are out there in the sunshine, and they're actually able to make it so that they're going to lose some of that extra heat from their body through their feet. So they want to keep those out and available and exposed to the elements as much as possible. So we like to kind of joke around and say that you can tell if it's a warm weather penguin or a cold weather penguin if you can see what type of pants they're wearing, what type of penguin pants. So if you can see their legs and feet, they're wearing penguin shorts, and that's a warm weather bird. And if they've got no foot appearance visible there, that means they're wearing their little snow pants, and they're a cold weather penguin. So that's a helpful tip if you're trying to figure out what type of penguin you're looking at. So African penguins, they do have many things that threaten them in the wild, so they are considered an endangered species. Cheyenne Mountain Zoo has partnered with the Southern African Foundation for the Conservation of Coastal Birds. We refer to it as SANCCOB. They're out in South Africa, and the zoo has sent about $134,000 to them over the course of our partnership. And zoo guests and members contribute to that fund with every visit and every membership. So that's really something that our guests and members should be pretty proud of. That money goes out to South Africa and then into the hands of all of the folks at SANCCOB. And the things that they do include helping penguins that they find that might need just a little bit of extra help. So those could be birds that have oil on their feathers and they can't survive without being cleaned up. Penguins that maybe haven't been able to find enough food and need to have some supplemental feedings. or penguins that have had to abandon their nest for whatever reason. So maybe there are some eggs or even some chicks that need to be reared and taught how to hunt for fish and then released into the wild to kind of bolster those populations. They also do a lot of outreach with local people that live near penguins. You've got to be able to share the same spaces sometimes, so they do lots of education. We are going to be celebrating International African Penguin Awareness Day here at Water's Edge, Africa at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. That's going to be on Saturday, October 14th from 9:30 to 3:30. And you do have to get advance tickets online. You can do that at CMZoo.org.